up is actually going to be the city-state of Lisbon. Your traders are immune to being plundered on water tile. Actually, no. Lisbon's supposed to come there, right? Am I dumb? A little bit. Okay, Lisbon first. Traders are immune to being plundered. I want to put it in the S tier, but a lot of the times it really is just going to be, I think, under Geneva and Jerusalem, I think. Having immune trade routes is really good, but a lot of the time they really don't matter too much. Unless you're in like an archipelago game, then maybe. But most of the time, barbarians are going to be taken care of by the mid-game, by turn 100. So Lisbon kind of loses its value after that. Maybe if someone declares war on you, that's fine. But I mean, a lot of the times, you should be able to hold them back. And even if they do plunder some trade routes, you should be able to either plunder a couple back or be able to replace them fairly easily. Lisbon, it's a good city-state, A tier for sure. It's very effective, but I don't think it deserves to be in the S tier with all the amazing, amazing city-states. Let's keep moving right now. You know what? I think I'm actually going to put Akkad in the... No, we'll keep Akkad S tier. It's going to be low S tier, though. Next up, let's move on to the city-state of Mexico City. Regional effects from your industrial zone, water park, and entertainment complex reaches 3 tiles farther. So factories, zoos, and whatever the tier 3 for the water park is will go 3 tiles further. That's pretty damn good, aside from the fact that each of these city-states, the industrial zone, water park, entertainment complex, only works once per city. So if I have a city with 2 nearby zoos, essentially, for example, or 2 nearby factories, it only gets the bonus from one of them, if that makes any sense. Unless you have Magnus in the city, then it'll get all of them from the industrial zone. So Mexico City, it's a nice quality of life boost, but it really isn't anything too crazy. Mexico City is going to go ahead and probably be in the super, super high C tier, I think is where it deserves. Again, you could get zoos. Zoos only work once per city. So if you have like 5 zoos, each city's only going to be getting the bonus from 1 zoo, if that makes sense. It's also in the description, so it isn't the best city-state. It's decent for sure, especially in the situation where you have cities just a couple tiles away. But I mean, hey, if it worked for the Colosseum or like the Stadio de Maradona, whatever the stadium is, that's kind of like the Colosseum, it would be a little higher. But even then, it would probably be mid to high B tier. For now, I'm going to put it in the high C tier. Let me know what you guys think, but I don't think Mexico City's that good. Next up, we do have the city-state of Mitla. Improved city growth for cities with a campus. What's the growth rate exactly? I should probably delete some of these, but the growth rate exactly is 15% higher. So it's a free hanging gardens in all cities with a campus. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and put that in the, I don't know, I think I'm going to put it in the low-ish B tier. 15% growth rate really isn't that amazing, I don't think. It's still very good, hence the B. It's better than Armagh, I think. I think it's better than Armagh. But especially as a science civ, it's going to be good, but not anything too game-breaking like the other ones on top of it, I think. Maybe I'll put it actually probably ahead of Caguana. I think it's almost A tier, B plus to A minus, I think. It really depends on what I'm feeling. Growth rate is good, but it just gets less important the later the game goes on. Let's move on to the next city-state right now. That next city-state is going to be Mogadishu, one of the city-states that actually replaced the city-state replaced Lisbon, actually, when Portugal was added. So we essentially have that already. After that, we're going to go ahead and go for now Mohenjo-Daro. Now, Mohenjo-Daro, your cities have full housing from water as if they were all next to a river. Mohenjo-Daro, this might surprise some people. I'm going to put it low B tier. A lot of the time, you are going to be settling near rivers anyway, like 99% of the time, or near lakes. So maybe a couple coastal cities would have some extra housing, which is nice. But all that for a suzerain bonus, just a little bit extra housing on coastal cities. Really, that's all you can give me. It's not that good, especially considering that with the lighthouses and harbors in those cities, they're going to have full housing anyway, or equivalent to full housing. So getting an extra 2 to 3, not even, it's an extra like 1 or 2 housing from all coastal cities without rivers, which is going to be like 2 or 3 cities max, really isn't the best. If you're in an archipelago map without any rivers, fine, it's in the S tier, but most of the time, it's just going to be a nice ability, but not anything too crazy. Let's move on to the next city-state, Muscat. Muscat gives you bonus amenities in cities with a commercial hub. What's the exact measurement, I guess? The exact measurement is 1 amenity. Okay, 1 amenity. I just hold your pants, guys. I know how amazing this might sound. An amenity for every commercial hub. Wow. straight down in the C tier with Cardiff. Probably ahead of Fez, and I think Fez is a little worse than Cardiff. I think that's fine. I think that's how I want it. Again, Muscat could be a decent ability, lots of amenities. Maybe you get an extra 3 luxuries if you have like 12 cities all with commercial hubs. So I guess it's kind of nice, but it's not like, it's not that good as a suzerain bonus in my opinion. Don't like that. Next up, we are going to move on to Nalanda, another city-state that hasn't been added to the list yet. Builders can build the Mahavihara. I sort of got that. I don't know why Kamehameha just got into my mind, but apparently it did. It's a pretty good 2 science, housing, faith for every holy site or lavra, science for every campus observatory, 1 additional science for every adjacent campus or observatory with scientific theory, and unlocks a random tech the first time it is constructed. Wow, talk about an amazing improvement. It would probably go in the high A tier. It's a little better than, maybe a little worse than Geneva and Jerusalem, but it is still an amazing city-state. I mean, my God, holy crap. That is pretty damn good. That's like 4 science or like super extra faith, housing 2, and a free technology. That's great. That's amazing. It's definitely deserving of the higher tiers. Let's move on now to Nan Mandol. All districts on or next to coastal tiles provide culture. Again, probably mid to high B tier, I think. Probably right above Armagh, I think. Yeah, I'd say so. It's a good ability for sure, but a lot of the times, unless you're in an archipelago map, again, you are going to not be getting too many district next to a coastal or lake tile. So again, in the right map, it could definitely be S tier, but on average, I think it's going to give you like maybe 6 or 8 total extra culture per turn, which isn't anything amazing, not like Kumasai or Antananarivo. So I think it's going to go in the mid B tier. I think that's a pretty good place for it. Let's move on to the next city-state. We got Nazca. Nazca lines on flat desert tiles give you faith, food, and production. In a Petra city, the flat desert tiles would be a lot better. So I think that's going to boost the score a little bit. Mali, it's probably S tier for Mali, or somebody like, pretty much Mali's the only one with a desert start. I'll put it in the low B tier again. Again, how often are you going to get a desert start that really makes use of Nazca lines? You'd have to get the Nazca lines, a desert start, and the Petra, which is already kind of like pushing it towards being a viable city-state. But I mean, B tier I think is good. It makes desert tiles work really well, I think. Obviously, with the best strategy, it would be really, really good. Lots of yield porn, probably. But again, you'd have to get like the perfect position for it. So I think being in the B tier or low C tier is probably the best place for it. Let's move on right now. The next city-state we're going to talk about is actually Gazargamo. I forgot about Nalanda, didn't I? No, we did Nalanda. It was one of the city-states that wasn't. Okay. Good, right? Gazargamo. Land or combat strength or support units are 20% cheaper to purchase with gold for each encampment district building in that city. How often are you just going to be buying straight units with gold? If it was gold and faith, maybe it has something. I think it's high-ish C tier. Probably. I think it's a little worse than Mexico City, maybe. It's better than Lahore, I think. But I mean, it really isn't that good. It really is not that good in my opinion. I think Valletta's over there, actually. I mean, guys, it could be nice in the late game once you have all 3 encampment tiles and you get a 60% discount with gold, maybe. But if it's going to take that long to get an actual decent city-state, it's just not that good. It really is not that good. And it's each encampment district building, so you'd have to get the barracks if you want to get the bonus to buying battering rams earlier. It's not that good early game or mid game. It's kind of good in the late game, which is why it's in the C tier and not super low. But I don't think it's a really good ability. Really not that good. Palenque, we already did that. It's essentially Mitla before Lady Six Guys. I mean Thick Thighs. I mean Six Guy was introduced in the game. Next up, we got Preslav. Early on, it gave extra combat strength to horsemen when fighting on hills. But after Rise and Fall, you receive 2 loyalty per turn for each encampment district building. How the mighty have fallen. It used to be super good to get Preslav. Early game, once you have a horseman rush and horsemen could make use of battering rams, you do that with extra combat strength against hills, and your horse units were unstoppable. But 2 loyalty for each encampment district or building. Maybe if you take out somebody who has an encampment with like 3 different buildings, you'll be able to keep the city. But I think it's going to be F tier. I think it's a little better than Babylon in my opinion, or what became of Babylon. But it's pretty damn bad. It's pretty awful, honestly. Like really. So essentially, if you have conquer a city with full-on military academies and all that, it's going to get essentially almost as much as a governor. Not only that, but most of the time you're not going to have encampment buildings in a lot of these cities. So what? You're going to build the encampment building and all three of those buildings before the city rebels. And if you were going to do that, the city probably wasn't going to rebel anytime soon anyways. And by the time you finish building all those encampment buildings, you'd already have conquered a lot of the surrounding cities, which makes Preslav's ability useless because you're not losing loyalty anymore. It's stupid. It's just a dumb ability. Preslav sucks. Definitely F tier. Doesn't make any sense. Next up, we got Rapa Nui. Builders can make Maui improvements. Maui's are pretty good. I remember Maui's being pretty damn good, I think. One culture, one for every 2 Maui, 1 for every adjacent Maui with medieval fairs, 2 on volcanic soil, 2 culture if adjacent to a coast or lake tile. And I think it does become tourism once it is unlocked flight. So, I mean, it's definitely very good once you can get the best position for it. So I think Rapa Nui, mid to high B tier, I think. It's better than Nanman Dole, not as good as Brussels. Brussels, the wonder bonus is pretty good, but you know what? No. It's better than Brussels. It's better than Caguana, too. It's better than Caguana's, battalion improvement, I think. Yeah, definitely. It's no doubt about it. It's better than 15% growth rate. What am I talking about? It's better than Hutu. You know what? Rapa Nui up there. Hutuza will go in the high B tier. Rapa Nui's A tier for sure. You can easily get 3 to 4 culture just by getting Rapa Nui's ability, and that's tourism in the mid to late game. And you spam these tiles wherever you damn please. You put these tiles wherever you put them on a desert hill if you want to. As long as it's near the coast, it is going to be very good. Rapa Nui's going in the low A tier. I still like Antananarivo better because of all the great people bonus with culture you can get. But Rapa Nui is definitely one of the best culture city-states in the entire game. Let's move on now. We're going to go to Samarkand, another city-state that was not present on this tier list. Builders can construct trading domes, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, give you straight gold. 2 gold, 1 for each adjacent luxury. Okay, then. I think we all know where this goes. It's not going... it would go in the low C tier, probably. It's definitely low C tier, not the best. You get extra gold. You can spam them, but gold is probably the most, I don't want to say useless, but it's the least valuable resource in the game. And the fact that it just gives you more money, you're going to be taking a lot of spots away from farms and mines and stuff like that. So it isn't amazing. It'll probably be low C tier, I think. Little extra gold, maybe 50 gold per turn by the mid to late game. Solid, but not anything too crazy. Next up, we have the city-state of Seoul actually was removed, and no one actually took their unique suzerain ability. It sucked, actually. When you enter a new era, you get 1 random Eureka. That's garbage. Holy crap. No wonder they removed it and didn't replace its suzerain bonus under a different name. It makes a lot of sense. Holy crap, that's a terrible ability. That's definitely in the F tier. It's like 4 or 5 Eurekas total if your suzerain was sold with the entire game, which is just stupid. Singapore now, your cities receive 2 production for each foreign sim they have a trade route to, so at least 10 production per turn in the mid to late game. Low A, high B tier. It's not as good as any of these. Probably better than Brussels, I think, but not better than Caguana, Mitla, or Hattusa. It's still very good, honestly, but it does take a while to get going, and the production's really, really nice, especially after you get factories and coal power plants and start getting lots of yields and boosts and all that. But it's not going to make or break your game. It's very good, but not in the top tier, I don't think. Let's move on to the next city-state. Stockholm is essentially Bologna. Taruga, your cities receive 5% science for each different strategic they have. Low B tier, I think. 5% science is good. A lot of the time, most of your cities by the late game are going to have at least on average 1 or 2. So it's essentially a weaker version of Geneva, a much weaker version, because Geneva gives you 15% science when you're not at war. Taruga gives you 5% science for every strategic resource you have, and I think they have to be improved. I'm not too sure, but I'm fairly certain they have to be improved. So again, it's Geneva at home, essentially. So it's not the best city-state, but it is still pretty damn decent. Let's move on. Toronto was actually another city-state. I think it was Mexico City. Valletta right now, city center buildings and encampment district buildings actually can be bought with faith. Cost of purchasing walls is reduced, but they can only be bought with faith. So I don't really know how to make of this. In a diplomatic game, I think is the best way to use this because it's a really good strategy that I've tried out multiple times. Buying walls will give you so much tourism and diplo favor. I think it deserves to be right above Caguana, not above. It's very good for sure. It's not a domination city-state, even though it is militaristic. It's a diplomatic slash cultural city-state. It depends on how many cities you have. If you have 20 cities, that's a lot of tourism and a lot of diplo favor, especially if you go under monarchy. But because it has to be a super specific strategy, you have to get Valletta, you have to get Faith, you have to get walls. It's not going to be in the A or S tier, even though if you do go for that strategy, it will probably be as worth it as an A or S tier city-state. Very good for sure. Definitely almost A tier. Probably another one of the B pluses. A very good city-state. Yeah, it's just not a militaristic city-state, so don't count it as that. But for a not religious, diplomatic or culture city-state, definitely in the high B tier. Next up, we got the Vatican. When you activate a great person, they spread 400 religious pressure of your founded religion to cities within 10 tiles. That is essentially a little bit of a stronger version of killing an apostle unit in battle. I don't want to do another B tier. I think I'm going to put this right above Taruga. It's better than Nazca. Not as good as Mohenjo-Daro, but better than Nazca. It's another very good city-state. Definitely could make use of it. But how many great people are you going to be getting? And essentially, you'd be able to kill more apostles than you would be able to get more than great people. So mid B tier, I think, is the best one. It's definitely a nice boost. But I think it's your cities. No, it's 2 cities within 10 tiles. Okay, then. So maybe if you do it on the outskirts, it'll be pretty good, but it's still not going to be able to change too much, I don't think. Next up is Venice. Venice was not actually included in this tier list, so Venice actually trade routes to foreign cities earn 1 gold for each luxury. We already did that one. Yeah, we already did that one. I think we could find it pretty easily, I think. It was one of the earlier ones, actually. It was Antioch, actually, and Antioch was in the D tier, so yeah. If you still don't have, like, Gathering Storm or anything or whatever it was released with, Venice actually replaces Antioch, I think. It's still in the game, right? No. Do we have Venice in the game? I'm not too sure, but it's still D tier. It's just like Antioch, it's D tier. After that, we got Vilnius. When you enter a new era, you get 1 random inspiration from that era. Again, that sucked. That was kind of like Seoul, but it was replaced. For the highest active alliance level, all your theater square districts receive a 50% adjacency bonus. This sucks because it only works in the super late game. Like, how often are you going to be getting the highest cultural alliance bonus? Maybe the last 30 or 40 turns, and by that time, culture doesn't matter as much as tourism. So another D tier, I think. It's better than Candy, probably. I think it's better than all these city-states, but it's not a very good city-state. You could somehow get a cultural alliance, even if you get it immediately right after you research alliances, you're not going to be getting level 3, the highest tier alliances, until the super late game, and it literally has no suzerain bonus before then, so it's absolute trash. By the time the late game comes around, I guess it's like low B, high C tier, mainly because culture really doesn't matter that late into the game. So, not the best, not very good, quite honestly. Let's move on to Wolin. Wolin is not included on the tier list either, but you get great general points when you defeat a major or minor civs units, and receive great admiral points when a naval unit kills another major or minor civs unit, equal to 25% of the opposing unit's strength. So if you declare war early on a city-state, that's 20 combat strength, that's 5 great general points for every unit you kill. Yeah. Nope. It would go in the mid to high A tier, I think. In fact, I'll put Akkad in the high A tier, and I'll put that in the low S tier. I think Wolin is an amazing city-state. You declare war early on, you get the great general points, boom, free great generals, and you could either use Boudica to get barbarian units, or you could just go ahead and knock out the closest civ. Again, you'd have to have Wolin early on, and you'd probably have to be the first one to meet them to get a good amount of envoys before you actually go to war, and I think you would have to kill not 20 but 60 divided by 5, 10, 2 times 6, 12. You'd have to kill 12 total units, which is pretty feasible early on. It takes a while though. You know what, never mind. Akkad will go in the S tier. That will go probably above Buenos Aires and under Lisbon. It does obviously take a lot, I think, unless the enemy city-state has horsemen or something. You'd have to kill 12 different warrior units or the equivalent of that, so it's not the best. It's still pretty solid, I think, and definitely deserving of the A tier. Next up, Yerevan. Your apostles can choose from any promotion instead of receiving a random promotion. Straight up in the S tier. No doubt about it. Best religious city-state in the entire game. It's going to be tied essentially with Kabul, Hong Kong, and Bologna. And Cahokia, I guess, could be up there as well. But I think Cahokia is a little bit worse in total. Yerevan allowing you to build whatever promotion you want. Easy. As the Congo or any sort of culture city or civ, free relics, even as Poland or something. But as a religious city-state, it is amazing. All you do, debater, translator, proselytizer, go to town. Go do your work. Go do your job and win a religious victory. The easiest religious victory you will ever see in your life. It's pretty damn amazing. Yerevan's definitely the best face city-state in the game. After that, we got Zanzibar. Zanzibar, you receive cinnamon and cloves resources. They cannot be earned in any other way in the game, and you get 6 amenities each instead of the regular 4. Now, do you get 2 or 1 of those? I think you get 2. I'm fairly certain you get 2. Let's see. Receive, I think you only get 1, maybe. I think you do only get 1. Doesn't matter, though. Zanzibar is going to go in the low S tier, high A tier, I think. It's not as good as... Is it? It's probably worse than Cahokia, because I think Cahokia is a little better. Because you can get those mounds literally everywhere in every city. Better than Akkad, I think. It's going in the S tier for sure. It's an amazing city-state. 12 extra amenities, essentially, which is just wow. Amazing. That's an extra amenity for 12 cities you have. Pretty damn good, but that is essentially going to be my tier list. Thank you all for watching, making it this far, or just skipping to the end to read all the city-states that you have placed. If you have enjoyed, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, but also let me know down below in the comments exactly how pinheaded I am and how I completely screwed up and Babylon is actually low-key the best city-state in the entire game. But yeah, in all honesty, let me know your opinions down below. Yeah, without further ado, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace. Huge shout out to my members, Cash Christian, Ben Ownby, John Blair, Jackson Perez, Polaris Gaming, Emporium, Adam Mester, Jeff Utzler, Kim Cosmos. A really special shout out to my Oh My God subscribers, Robert and Overflow of Amenities.